horrible interviews to do those because you've won 2-0, but it's only the first leg, so you kind of want to look happy, but you can't look too happy.
Look, we know as players, ex-players, they're very happy in that dressing room right now. Of course they are. They've got to say, do the right things, be professional in the manner, because obviously you show that respect as well to Arsenal, because still we're talking about an Arsenal team that are challenged for the title, still, close with Liverpool. So look, we can't shade away from it, but I think going now to St James's Park, I always felt Arsenal needed to be in front, because it's never going to be an easy place to play football. Never has been. But look, they're playing with confidence. A lot can happen. Like we say, it's a long period of time now until that next game. So I think there's a lot that could change in this moment in time. I think the great thing with Isak in this moment in time for him, he's staying fit. And I think that's what's key for him. And those connections with Murphy, I said, he knows when to make these runs, because he's got a different winger on the sides, and I think they benefit from each other, that's for sure right now.
Overall, those stats made it look very, very dominant for Arsenal. It didn't feel like that watching it, did it?
It didn't feel that way at all, and probably me being slightly biased, Mark, but I think when they got the second goal, Eddie made some changes, took free there, and then they got into more a defensive sort of lower block Newcastle, and probably the possession stats went up, and maybe Arsenal had a few more set plays. But I always felt Newcastle were relatively comfortable. I didn't feel there was like Dubravka making loads of saves and they were, hitting posts and all this, and they were all hanging on. I didn't have that feel about the game. I thought it was a perfect game plan from Eddie Howe and his staff. And no, I mean, stats you can read into them too much, can't you, Jamie?
I agree, Shay. I think you're spot on. I think
comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's never comfortable because they've got players, and especially with Arsenal, they're so good at set pieces. You always feel you're going under a bit of pressure. I think Shay alluded to the keeper was fantastic tonight. He gave you a real platform, made good saves at the right time. He was brave in his decisions. The two fullbacks I thought were excellent, Livramento and Hall. Just a really good performance, especially had to change it. Botman went off and little tweaks here and there. But I just felt that the performance from minute one, and what you've got when you've got a player like Isak, he can just give you such an outlet. I never felt today that Arsenal had an outlet. If the ball went up to Havertz, there was never really anyone joining in with real pace. But the flip side of it, when Newcastle had it, they had tremendous pace on the break. You spoke before the game about having that counter-attacking speed. Arsenal looked a bit paceless today, but the flip side was Newcastle. Every time they got the ball going forward with Gordon and players like that, you bring on Harvey Barnes off the bench. Jacob Murphy is a revelation. Now, I didn't see this player. I thought he would be, at times maybe coming off the bench. He could be a good squad player, and I think it's so much credit to Eddie Howe. And it's not just players like him; it's players like Joe Linton, it's players like Dan Burn. How he works with players day in, day out, and improving them. That's the art of management. It's not always about tactics, it's about improving players, and I think that's one of Eddie's biggest skill sets.
I think as well with Arsenal at this moment in time, what worries me for them, on the outside looking in, is we're getting excited by set pieces all the time instead of excited about that free-flowing football, and that's what Arsenal's known for. And you're going away from it. We're shying away from it at this moment in time. You can see at times the players are running out of ideas. They can't at times play off the cuff, should we just say. They're playing to a system at times, and it gives the opportunity for Newcastle, who defended incredibly well and enjoyed defending, but it gave them time to get back into shape. When there's space to attack teams, I think we go away from it at times.
And it was... Sorry, Claude.
No, I was just going to say, Mark, I think what you're so right, and what Newcastle are, is they're a big, powerful side, so they're not going to be scared of set pieces. They've got players like Dan Burn that are going to head it, Botman's going to head it, you could bring Isak back, you've got Joe Linton. So they just thought to themselves, when Arsenal do their whole set piece routine and they all got to the back post, they were like, we're going to stay in our positions, that ball's going to come in and we're going to make sure we attack it. And they were excellent. And they've still got work to do, because I've been in this position before as a player, and you think, we've done the hard work, we'll get them at home. Everyone's got to stay calm, because even the crowd are going to get excited. Arsenal will come back into this game. If they score a goal early, it's still game on. This is not a foregone conclusion just yet.
And going to the goals, and it was a set piece that did for Arsenal with the first goal.
Yeah, it was. I know Arsenal get a lot of credit. I think there's a lot of staff at Newcastle as well who work hard in this as well. I think, going back to even when I've been, Stan Lydis used to say just floated as a goalkeeper into that, caused a lot of panic in the middle of the goal. And we spoke about it at half-time. I think Saliba gets drawn into the long ball. I don't think he should go the centre-half unless he's going to win it, of course. And obviously, Jamie mentioned the point about Odegaard picking up Isak, your most dangerous player, the player in form in the Premier League. If anything, for me, Timber should be an inside, maybe an Odegaard on the outside, so he's a natural defender. So you can see them here, light them up. Odegaard's got Isak. I know there's a slight push there, but there's always comings together in the box, I feel. I don't think there's enough to give a foul away, and Newcastle get their nose in front.
I think it just bullies them all game. They couldn't handle him. And it genuinely blows my mind how you could have a situation where Odegaard is marking that man. He's the most fearsome striker in the Premier League right now. So difficult to mark. And you end up with Odegaard. You've got to detail someone there. The set piece.
You'd put a defender on him, because you might not necessarily, I don't know, but you might not want your two centre-halves.
I would say that if we see it again, you've got Timber outside him. I would even probably say, if I'm more of a defender, I tell you what, let's swap. and I'll come inside and you come and mark Gordon, because that is just a massive problem. Odegaard never looks comfortable. And I've been in that position in the midfield player. Look, he's playing with his sock there. He's not really interested. Now he's got 2 yards ahead of him. Now, Isak is in control of the situation if the ball comes to him. Odegaard doesn't think defensively. So you have to detail someone. And the set-piece coach, and I said it at half-time, gets a lot of credit, and rightly so for the attacking set pieces. Things like that isn't good enough from my point of view. You know, you cannot have a situation where he's marking him. It's a complete mismatch. One is thinking I'm going to score, and one is actually thinking if the ball comes to me, I might be able to do something attacking-wise. I think it's a mistake.
But as well, players need to be able to adapt to situations. We reflect on this all the time, but players want to just play to a system or play to, I need to be here, I'm in the right position. They don't worry about anyone else instead of adapting. And the issue is if they go away from what they've been told, they may not play that next game, or they may be dragged. And you've got players that need to...
So is that right? So I need to be in this space for this free kick, rather than, oh, hang on a minute, I've suddenly got this man on me and maybe I shouldn't have, so let's switch.
Because it's like putting me at centre-half next to Gabriel there. There's just no... I'm not going to have any intention of defending that. Nothing against what Odegaard, but that's where they need to play as a player on the field, particularly the captain, should not got to be aware of this, to be honest, to say, look, this isn't my role. I shouldn't be in this position.
And I think there's a lot wrong with saying that. I mean,
No.
I've got a problem here. They can call you Gabriel, call Saliba over. You come and mark.
Even the both goals, they're both avoidable. There's a lot of mistakes leading up to all the goals I felt, and it's very out of character for Arsenal. Absolutely.
The second goal, and Isak was instrumental here as well.
Well, I think Isak's brilliant. This is, you know, he just pulls off the 2 centre halves and midfielders can't get near him. But keep an eye on, we talk about Murphy. I think he's been brilliant as well. That's a fantastic pass into Isak. Raya makes the save, and I think Timber on the back post again maybe goes to sleep a bit, and he's on his heels, and Gordon jumps in and nips in and scores a goal. But look at the movement. It's kind of like a pattern of play you do maybe on a day before a game, Mark, or whatever. You know, the Arsenal players, they're pointing, they're saying, you pick him up, the midfielders. The midfielders are want one of the centre halves to go all the way in, and nobody does anything. But we'll keep an eye on Isak. We talk about how brilliant he was. No one really sticks the glove on him. 3 players around him at this stage. He's got really quick feet, which I like at this stage. Hits an early shot. Keeper's not totally set. Gets a good save on it, and again, but Isak just brilliant on this, and of course Gordon. We always talk about the opposite winger, don't we? Coming in with a nice tap.
But as well, the great thing about Isak, he always keeps on the move. He always gets the centre half guessing of whose responsibility should take on him. Like you said there, everyone's confused because he puts himself in all these positions, and he's a player as well who's comfortable everywhere on the field. You see players at times will receive the ball in a position where you think he's not going to affect the game. He's always going to affect the game wherever he's on that field because he's keeping a lot of players on that pitch.
I think if we can see that again, explain that point. So I think it's important, Phil, because what he does, I think, so well, is just gets in between the 2 centre backs, which makes it so difficult to mark.
But the great thing is then he initiates the run, which creates Murphy to play the ball. But even before that, you see Gordon on the other side. He lights up as soon as Murphy's got the ball. He thinks, right, something's going to happen here. I don't know if you can go back there. You see Gordon that comes in because he's out wide, affecting the game. Timber's a bit confusing where he is. He's looking over, and at times Timber is a bit squared on. But you see Gordon, he's venturing out to the wide.
Yeah.
As soon as Isak gets the ball here, his eyes light on Gordon. He comes out to Murphy. He's like, I need to get in here now. Something's going to create, something's going to happen, and it's just a smart play. Isak did something in the first half which really put Saliba on the back foot of thinking, oh, I've got a player to deal with today. And that's the sort of player Arsenal will be craving to have.
It's great wide play.
Do you know what that reminds me of? We did last year's semi-final with Chelsea, and Mikhail Mudryk, and there was a criticism of him never coming off.
Trippier gave him the goal, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Exactly. Yeah, in the end.
Because that's what we will talk about numbers, and now Salah's have been a master at it for so long. He gets in at that back post, and I think that's something that you have to coach, you have to tell people, and they're the goals that just food and drink for any wide player now. Because Mohamed Salah has been the best at it. You know, Raheem Sterling when he was at Manchester City, unbelievable at it, and that's what you've got to do as a wide man.
And as well, when as a wide man, when you've got a right footer now with Murphy going back to him, it's easier for a forward to make the run because it's not delayed. Like, they don't know when you're going to bring it in. That's, you know, for instance, Doku, he's a good player, but at times you're like, when are you going to cross it? And the difference now, Savinho crossing it, Haaland's scoring goals, he's getting rewarded.
I think it comes down to coaching as well with the manager. Yeah. I think if you clearly see the position in every single player, Isak, Sandro gets it, zings it into his feet, and then the movement, and of course you mentioned Gordon coming in off the far side. That's been coached, drilled day after day after day, and it comes natural, doesn't it? When it's a match day.
How often do you see that with Saliba and Gabriel, when that ball gets played up to a front man, where both of them are passive and they're not aggressive and going to try and press the ball?
Yeah.
But that tells me, excuse me, how fearful they were of Isak.
And because he caused them problems all evening with his movement.
From minute one, he faced up Saliba in the first or second minute of the game, and it was just like, I've got you here. I know exactly where I want you. This is the one. No, it wasn't this one, sorry. but that was good play. But again, every time it ball come out to him, they just couldn't get close to him. His movement was too good. I think this is the one here. He just gets him. Now he's got him.
That's the one, isn't it?
Yeah, no, he just shapes him up. How often do we see that happen? But it just that was the difference between the two sides. Arsenal had Isak, And Newcastle had Isak and Arsenal. Yeah, well, exactly. Well, I'm sure every Arsenal fan wishes, because that's what you see. That's what the level you have to get to. And Havertz couldn't really offer the same for Arsenal tonight.
But as well, like, you've got to look at the Newcastle players were enjoying, and the energy levels, the pace they showed to get up with him. At times, Isak's picked the ball up and he obviously got pulled back there, you know, leading to a foul. Should have been a foul maybe, but because they know something's going to happen when he gets the ball. There's a lot of ball carriers at Newcastle, I think, at times. And I felt for Havertz tonight because he was, like you said, he was very isolated, didn't have that support network.
What's the when he drops in the couple of examples we saw for 4 or 5 yards and the centre-halves don't go with him, what are the responsibilities of someone who played in your position then in the middle of midfield?
Well, I think you've got to say to Partey or to Declan Rice maybe to get around him. Like, I think what they did really well today was when Newcastle didn't have the ball, they went man for man in midfield. But when they had the ball, Willock was a willing runner all game. He was running behind. Theo said it at the start of the game. His energy was too much at times for that Arsenal midfield. They couldn't handle it, and having to take off Thomas Partey. So I think. I personally, first of all, I would say as the two centre-backs, one of them's got to go tight, get close to him, don't let him turn, because as soon as he does that, you know you've got a major problem, because then he drifted behind the two midfield players. Great ball by Jacob Murphy, but they didn't want to get closer because I think they were so scared of him.
Well, as well, like, for instance, Shay, if you're being a goalkeeper, at times you wouldn't want your centre-half to go out wide, but Isak wants to take you into places you don't want to be, right? So I think Arsenal now in that level where, I don't want to go out to those positions, so we'll let Isak have it there. But the problem is he's going to cause you problems no matter where he is in that field.
7 wins in a row for Newcastle now, 5 clean sheets in those 7. And again, their defence was rock solid tonight, Show.
They strike me, Mark, actually, as they enjoy this side of the game as well. We all talk about the defensive players, and Isak grabs a lot of the headlines, but look at this for blocks. You know, I think Botman, Dan Burn, Dubravka came out and punched lots clear as well. But this is part and parcel. When you're away from home, semi-final of a cup competition, you're going to have to dig in. You're going to have to throw bodies in the line. It's a brilliant block from Botman. And bear in mind, he's been out for 9 or 10 months with a serious injury. His second game in 4 days. Again, look at that. You can throw a blanket around how many Newcastle players around the ball there, because they look at that's like scoring a goal, a block, or making demands off yourself, and characters on the pitch, like defending for their lives. The bodies back at Sandro Tonali getting a block right on the line as well. And that header from Tino Livramento. I mean, you talk about coaching and defending, and Tino and Lewis Hall on the other side are absolutely superb again tonight. Big Dan Burn, I mean, he's just Newcastle through and through, isn't he? What a performance from him. But that's the part of the game that some people don't talk about. But you have to enjoy that side of it. Newcastle, strike me, they enjoy that side of it also.
I know they don't have Fabian Schär at the moment, but is that not far off then, their first choice back 4 now, which has slightly been rejuvenated now with Livramento?
Well, he's got a problem, Eddie, now. Who starts the next game? I mean, obviously the FA Cup, he could possibly maybe rest Botman, because he has played them 2 games in quick succession. Schär comes back into the team, but then the next Premier League game he's got an issue. Who starts? Because Dan Burn's been brilliant as well in the last month or 6 weeks as well. They've
got a great squad, haven't they? You've got Trippier can come in and out, and he's got great experience. And I'm sure if you're Tino Livramento, every day you'll be just watching him, learning. He's a good defender. He's played at the top level for so long. And Harvey Barnes come off the bench. Arsenal didn't have that luxury today. They look so short without Bukayo Saka. You just think, where is the spark going to come from?
But that, with those 2 full-backs, there's so much discussion about what they were going to do with Trippier. Lewis Hall took time to settle into his Newcastle career. They now look, they're absolutely 100% their first choice full-back.
Stone, absolutely. Yeah. Even watching there towards the end, you could see, he was warming up. Trippier was warming up on the sideline, and he was telling Livramento what to do at times, and even Almiron came on. And I think that's the passion and the hunger and the desire he wants to improve players on the outside as well as a player, because everyone's really important. It's not the 11 that will win this cup; it's the whole squad.
I think the togetherness feels like there's a real togetherness, and I think that comes again from the manager. He's built a squad of players that they're fighting for each other. Trippier's a great example. He really transformed the club when he came from Atletico. And again, them shots of them defending, clearing their lines, squeezing up, getting back together, celebrating a tackle, celebrating a block. It's part of building a team ethic, and they're really strong together.
So Newcastle fans were serenading Les Ferdinand. They don't forget their heroes of yesteryear. Plenty of heroes today. The goals, yes, Les, but the desire to work for each other, to run for each other, to block everything, that was outstanding, wasn't it?
I think Lee mentioned it in commentary, and how well they set up the 2 banks of 4, and the midfield players like Tonali, Joe Linton and Murphy Joe Willock when he was on. They just worked tirelessly. Gordon and Murphy as well. They were getting back into shape and made it so hard for Arsenal to get any joy going forward. And Dan Burn and Botman and Hall and Livramento love defending. They take pride in not defending as much as they take pride in scoring goals. Up the top end, those guys at the back, they were phenomenal tonight.
I think listening to Anthony Gordon in the interview talking about how much Arsenal dominate the ball, You can see, especially with the players we've got missing, the real potency up front. You can see that once they got in that shape, and we were passing around as slowly as we were, they were always going to be comfortable, and like the blocking and the defending was.
And the desire to win the second ball, as Lee
Absolutely.
said, if you don't win the first ball, make sure you win the second ball.
And they done that. They came with their plan, and I think they executed it very, very well.
Let's have a look at the goal at the start of the second half. Arsenal came out, a crowd, of course, behind them, expects them to try and get back on level terms. There was a second goal, but at the other end, it's well taken, but there's a lack of energy and snap, as the boys said about the defending.
We were talking about Isak dropping into those spaces, and he drops into the space, picks it up, plays it out to Murphy, and then gets himself in a box, gets a shot out of absolutely nothing, and Gordon does what every good striker does, gets into the position and gets in the back.
I think what we saw there is like arguably one of the most informed strikers in Europe at the moment, coming off and having too much time and too much space, and he got his shot off. And you have to give Gordon credit as well for following that in, because he done a lot of work in the first half tracking back. So, you know what I mean? There's a good performance from Newcastle. I'll give him that.
But it looked like Arsenal's defence there was half a beat behind what Newcastle's attackers were thinking. Do you know what I mean? In terms of an impetus.
You know what? I'm big fans of Gabriel and Saliba, but I don't think they'll have had a tougher time this season, because I thought Isak was fantastic. His movement just kept them moving all over the place, dropping in, going long. So he messed them about all evening.
You know what I'd say with that, Les? You know, because there's not a player like that in Arsenal's squad, you're not coming up against that in training.
Yeah.
So then what's happening is that he's coming off and it's confusing. It's confusing for them, it's confusing for the guys in front, and that's why, even with that second goal, it was far too easy. It was far too easy for that to happen. But again, you know, it's something that happened because he's in top form and he punished us.
And he's in top form, and he put Newcastle ahead just before half-time. It was, if you like, it was a Route 1 free kick, but they picked up the pieces so well. Now, there is a little bit of a shove there on the edge of the box by Isak. VAR looked at it.
You two keep noticing that. I don't really notice it, to be honest with you.
It doesn't matter, Les. It was given. It was given.
Right? Yeah. But like it was well executed. Botman gets the flick on. Murphy does great with his touch. Probably touches it for himself, but you know, look at this.
Look. It reminds me of what happened to Gabriel Martinez up there. You have to have two hands on an Arsenal player and foul them to get anything.
I totally agree.
But you know, Isak was there. I mean, this is your area. This is your bread and butter, Ian. He was alert enough to think, it's going to run off Murphy.
Because he's in that form. I saw the goal against Tottenham as well. The defender got a touch and he still was able to put that in the net. He's in that kind of form where get the ball into him, like Anthony Gordon said, and he'll probably finish it.
Newcastle were disciplined.